Some books are over 800 pages, yet they still feel too short, and some of them are half the length and they feel endless. So I wanted to talk about books, big books, and if they were worth the amount of pages that they have, or if they could be a couple hundred pages shorter. Or sometimes it's a mix of both. Let's start with classics because some of them are known for being super big. To be fair, back in the day, people didn't have social media and TikTok and maybe had a longer attention span. For example, War and Peace. I feel like we all know about it. A lot of us might want to try it once in our lifetime. I haven't read it yet, but I've definitely heard of the chapters about agriculture. So if you have read it, is it worth the pages or not? I've read Karenina, and it does have similar chapters, but this time with hunting and horses, and I don't think they were necessarily worth it, but I don't think Russian classics were for me, to be fair. I've actually read more French classics, and a lot of them are also big because the authors were paid per word, which definitely helps. Actually, I just bought recently Les Misérables, which I am nervous, but a lot of you said it was definitely worth it. I did buy the full-length one. There's an abridged version that exists, which I feel like that being a thing probably answers the question that it's too long. But I still wanted to read the full-length one. My edition is in French and it's in 2 parts, which, you know, it's a big book whenever you need 2 books that are over 1,000 pages. So I'm looking forward to that one, but let me know if you have read the abridged version and if it's better than the full-length one. So the first one that I have read and wanted to talk about is the Count of Monte Cristo. Once again, I have the French edition that is in 2 books because it is super long. It's useful because the page count continues. So this one is over 1,400 pages total. It's a big one. It's also one that a lot of us want to read once in our lifetime. I do think it is worth it. However, there's also an abridged version of that one, so probably answers the question a little. With that said, I feel like the first like 300-400 pages is the easiest 5-star ever. It is unputdownable. The plot of being betrayed, put in prison unjustly, and starting the plan of the revenge, because we all know this is an epic revenge story. That part was just amazing. Afterwards, this is where, you know, the pacing kind of goes up and down, which I don't think removing a few pages would be that bad. I'm still happy I read the whole thing. I do think it is worth trying once in your lifetime, but I wanted to discuss the ending. No spoilers, there will be none in this video, but if you want to discuss any, we can do that in the comment section. But I went into it knowing that the ending was different from the movie I grew up watching, but I still was not prepared for how different. I wasn't a huge fan of it. I still think, again, it is worth it, but I feel like no one ever talks about it. I prefer the movie ending, and there's a few things that happened that I was kind of unpleasantly surprised. Again, I'm gonna end here, but I wanted to discuss it with anyone that has read it. I will say that one thing that I was pleasantly surprised is that there's a positive lesbian couple representation in here. Obviously, it's a tiny portion of the book, but for something that was published in the 1800s, it's still worth a shout out. So again, if you haven't read this one, I do think it's worth it. I've also been getting questions if it's worth reading in French if you're trying to learn French. If you do, props to you, obviously, but it is a classic, meaning that some of the verb tenses in French, if you know anything, subjonctif plus que parfait, is crazy. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. But if it's not your first language, just be prepared because it gets very, very crazy for no reason. So if you want to try it, it wouldn't be my first recommendation, but it's definitely worth it. It's awesome. And that's kind of why I feel like Les Misérables is going to be worth it. But again, I have it now. I have no excuse. I almost forgot to mention the 3 Musketeers. I did enjoy it. Honestly, I don't feel like the plot stuck with me as much as the Count of Monte Cristo. It was worth 900 pages, but again, I am pretty used to reading French classics, so it didn't bother me. It's worth checking out, but I would want to know if you have read the other books in that series, are they worth it? Now, the longest English classic that I have read and enjoy has to be Middlemarch. Actually, recently, The Guardian came out with their list of the 100 best novel of all time, and it was in the top spot. So I feel like it speaks for itself. It was voted by like writers and critiques, so you know, take it for what it is. But I did enjoy this one. It's a deeper exploration into these characters in a town in the countryside. So it's an enjoyable one. I don't feel like this was too long. It's obviously still big. I think my edition isn't that long. It's like 700 pages, but I've seen other editions with longer page count, obviously, but still. I do think it's worth reading. It's not in my like top 5 or maybe top 10 classics, but I do still think it's worth reading. I enjoy that one. I feel like there are a lot more English classics that I haven't read yet that are huge, like Charles Dickens probably has a couple, so those I do want to read eventually, but we'll see. Now, we're done with the classic. Definitely leave yours in the comment section and let us know if they're worth the page count or not. But we have a couple fantasy. Let's be real, mostly fantasy because they tend to be really big and epic. Actually, let's start with an author that isn't classic, Stephen King. He's definitely known for writing a ton of novels, a ton of really big ones, and not having the best endings. The two biggest ones that I have finished would be The Stand and It. Let's start with The Stand. I think it's the longest one. The edition that I read was unabridged because, again, there is an abridged version that exists, so it kind of answers the question. But it was 1,300 pages. So it's a very, very long one. I don't think it's his worst ending, which I think is worth mentioning. The book was good, especially the beginning. The whole chapter where you see the disease spreading, the pandemic starting, fantastic. Afterwards, pacing was up and down for me. My personal problem with it was definitely the female characters. It was written, I want to say 50 years ago. Oh my gosh. So I double checked and it was 1978. So almost 50 years ago. That is crazy. So that probably explains some of the things. I feel like some of the tropes are a bit dated. Like I remember one section specifically, there's this woman saving her virginity for evil, which kind of gives me the ick, to be honest. But it was more of a thing back in the day, I guess. So there's that. But I do think that that one is still overall worth reading if you are into post-apocalyptic books. It's one of the most well-known one. But yes, there's an abridged version. You might prefer to go with that. And I feel like I have more mixed feelings about this one because my edition was 1,100 pages, and I would say for the first 900 pages it was worth the page count. I feel like he's almost too good at writing fears from the point of view of the children. I know that the book starts with this scene where a kid is trying to turn on the light in the basement and it's scary. He did that super well. All the scenes of like bullying, for example, were so vivid. So those were all excellent. And maybe it could have been a bit shorter, but overall, again, the first 900 pages, in my opinion, were worth it. And the next 200, again, spoiler free, but I will say the ending was not good. And I resent ever having read that scene in the sewers, which if you don't know, if you want to know, again, I can tell you in the comment section, but that made me regret ever learning English because what do you mean? Like, this was so I believe he has said that he regrets writing it, but like, ugh, vile, straight up vile. So yeah, I have mixed feelings about this specific one. I didn't keep it because again, I hated that section so much, but I do think that the first 900 pages were worth it. So I would love to hear your thoughts on this one because he has a couple other ones. Actually, I just did it on haul video and I got rid of some of his books, including Under the Dome, which the comment section was divided if I should still give it a shot just in case, but I had heard that the ending was awful, and it's another humongous book that is, yeah, over 1,000 pages. And I think the premise sounds interesting, but I just don't know if I can do that to myself again. Reading a whole thing to be annoyed by the ending. I've been told that there's like even some necrophilia pretty early on, and like, dude, I'm tired. Why do you keep doing this to me? So I'm on the fence. I might do a whole like trying it until, you know, it pisses me off. I've done that in the past, but obviously I bought it hoping I was going to like it. But after hearing all those things, I'm not sure it's for me. That's why I was getting rid of it. But feel free to convince me otherwise. I might put a vote on the community page, but I think Stephen King and me, I still have a couple books that I want to read that I own, but like I am a little bit more picky now. I couldn't be doing a video about big books without talking about Brandon Sanderson, right? And I want your opinion about this one because I've only finished the first 2 books in the Stormlight Archive series. So I've read The Way of Kings and Words of Radiance. So I feel like I'm pretty early on to have an opinion. I would say that I don't recommend starting with these if you've never read anything else by him because again, they're like over 1,000 pages. They're crazy long. But because I had read pretty much everything else first, I was aware that there would be a ton of world building at first. And I think that's the problem a lot of people have when they first start the first book if they haven't tried enough. I know the payoff is going to be worth it because again, world building, magic system, he always has these crazy endings, these discoveries, and that's what you get in book 1 and 2. I actually recorded my reaction of the ending of book 2 and I was losing my mind because again, it was great. So far, I feel like the series has been worth it, but I've heard mixed things about, especially the book number 5, the last one that came out. I'm currently in the middle of book 3, so I don't know what's going to happen there, but is it still worth it? I feel like a lot of people have been disappointed and it's making me a little worried, but again, books 1 and 2 for me so far have been worth it. They are very long, but so far, it's been okay. This series though, it's another one that I have mixed feelings about. Okay, book 1 is technically not that long compared to the other one. It's like 650 pages, so it's technically not part of the video, but I have to give the context that I had read book 1 and I had enjoyed it. Personally, I'm a big fan of magical schools, so you know, that's a great start. The main character is basically narrating his whole life story so far. He's still really young, but so much has happened to him, and every day is one book of the series. So I was seeing some of the issues, you know, the cockiness of the male character, being him kind of judging his younger self. So I didn't really have an issue with this one, except the romance. So this one I liked. But book 2 was a mess, in my opinion. The first 300 pages are like basically like book 1. I had no problem. And it feels like the author realized that, oh shit, I'm supposed to do all of these things and I'm nowhere near that. So he just messes the whole pace. And there's a section, again, no spoilers, but there's like 10 chapters that I wish I could have poured bleach into my eyes, because no. And that situation affects the way the character acts for the rest of the book. I don't know if it was a self-insert, fantasies of the author. Ew, the whole thing, ew. So yeah, I kind of hated this one, and I feel like we kind of all know right now that book 3 is never going to happen. He painted himself in a corner, like he can't come back from this. And yeah, I hated this book. It's 1,000 pages. It definitely was not worth it. I feel like it's not the most popular opinion, but I think a lot of people agree that this was a mess. So yeah, for me, I feel like the first 300 pages are fine, and everything else, I wish it was something else. Like, burn them, rewrite them, please. But yeah, the Goldfinch. I got rid of my copy, so you have my answer here. This one, I was super confused as to why people liked it, which, like, again, super strong opinion. But I feel like sometimes you read a book because it's popular and then it's just nothing like you expected. I had heard that it was about this main character and this painting that he had stolen. And yeah, for like 5 seconds, and nothing else is about that. And at the beginning, is there like a bomb explosion in a museum? That's when he steals the painting of the Goldfinch. And then, like I said, the rest of the book is not about that, like, at all. It's about, I don't know, drugs and like this teenager that doesn't have a mother and like insufferable people in New York, which usually is fun, but it really wasn't. The book, just the content did not stick with me. I think the writing style was not for me. A lot of description, kind of almost stream of consciousness. I did enjoy overall Secret History by the same author, but this one just really wasn't working for me. It did win the Pulitzer Prize, so again, take my opinion with a grain of salt. All I would say is that if you are intrigued, obviously try it, but if you're not feeling it pretty early on, give up. Just give up, because it's not going to get better. So yeah, personally for me, too many pages and not enough plot. I feel like it was about nothing. So yeah, for me, too long. For you, might not be. I think that's the beauty of writing. We can read the same book and have vastly different opinions. Another fantasy series with humongous books. We have the Priory of the Orange Tree, and then the prequel, A Day of Fallen Night. Okay, I think this one is technically bigger, even though it does not look like it. This one is a little over 800 pages, and this one is closer to 900. Okay, they're closer in size than I thought. So technically, this was the first book, and this came out later as a prequel. You can start with this one. I would probably recommend it more because I enjoy this one more, but I love the world building. In this one, you get more about the magic, kind of witchy-ish characters. And what I like is that it's a big battle between good and evil. Both of them, there are dragons, it's a queendom, and it's interesting that the same queen is almost reborn. Like, every queen has one child that is a woman that looks exactly like her and is just going and going. So there's a lot of world building that is super interesting. I think this one was better. My interest was equally divided from different point of view. So this one is the most solid one between the two. This one, I think the critique, when it came out, was supposed to be a standalone. So I feel like I didn't mind that there was a ton of world building. It made sense to me. But I feel like I was less equally divided interest-wise between the point of view. And it was too short. Which might sound crazy, again, it's 800 pages, but I feel like some of the sections, again, no spoilers, but whenever some characters would die, it would be too quick. And especially the ending, because again, this is a battle between good and evil, the dragons and everything, and the ending, the battle at the end, too quick. So it sounds crazy, but I feel like these things should have been longer. Maybe a bit less world building would be a popular thing, but again, it didn't bother me. I just felt like I didn't get the chance to feel these things. So yeah, this one was too short for me. That's why I'm not mad that we're getting more and more books from the world, because I wanted more. So this was great. Oh my gosh. Can you see this? This is what happens when you have cats. They eat your books. I feel like a lot of people have been enjoying The Will of the Many. What you might not know is that the author has another trilogy that is worth reading if you don't want to have to wait, because only 2 books are out, right? And this, it's all out. So the first book is The Shadow of What Was Lost, but this one is only 700 pages, so it's not really part of the video. I wanted mostly to talk about book 3, which this one is over 800 pages, and I did enjoy the whole trilogy. It has like really classic tropes of like chosen one, the magic system is interesting, the plot is again good versus evil. There's a wall in the north, which is a very common plot, but it works. And overall, I was really invested, but book 3 felt too short. Again, sounds crazy, but the author did say that he realized the book was going to be too long and he had to almost remove a section about one of the characters, and it was going to possibly be a companion series, which I hope he will, because I did really enjoy the world, especially Caden. They could never make me hate you. So yes, this book was too short, which again, feels so crazy saying that about a book that is over 800 pages, but I could have read a couple more 800 pages. It was definitely worth it. So again, if you've read The Will of the Many and you want to read more from the author, I do recommend this series. I really liked the world building and it was a good ending, which again, there's nothing worse than reading a lot of pages and the ending doesn't pay off. So you're safe with this one. Stephen King though, I feel like this one I'm cheating, but To Sleep in a Sea of Stars, I didn't finish it. So it probably shouldn't be here, but for me it was definitely too long. I couldn't finish it because the pacing was all over the place. I feel like it was starting and starting and starting and starting and just not going anywhere. Again, if you have read it, I would be curious. I also did not care for the way the female character was written. Super mild spoiler, I didn't care for the fact that she was sterilized and then like she gets infected by this alien thing that just fixes her, and not a plot I really personally enjoy. Another one I couldn't finish just because is Wanderers. I got the audiobook for that one from the library 3 times. 3 times, and I could not finish it. It's over 32 hours long, so in my defense, it's very, very long, but it's another post-apocalyptic, but this one, it just, again, never starts. It's one of those books where you really notice that they're always walking. To be fair, again, post-apocalyptic often have that, like The Stand by Stephen King does that too, but in this one, it just felt really endless. But to be fair, it's more of a, let's go with technology elements instead of like magic or something. So yeah, this one just really wasn't for me. I could not finish it, so again, for me, it was too long. Another one that I feel like I'm kind of cheating because of the format I read it in, but I did read The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and the mass market edition was almost 900 pages. Either way, it's a long one, but I really enjoyed book 1 to the point where I would recommend it as a standalone. Obviously you can continue, but I feel like book 1 was so much stronger. You do have to get into it. The first 100 pages, again, they're not necessary, but that's probably where I would edit a little bit because it takes a while to get into it. Once you've moved on from that section, unputdownable, really, really good. But yeah, the first 100 pages is probably actually where I would remove some. How do you feel about Game of Thrones? Because I did read the first book and then I didn't finish book 2 and I kind of just got rid of the series because I felt like at that point so far it was basically like the TV show. I know that eventually it kind of diverged, but it just didn't feel worth it to read it when I had so many of the books I wanted to read and just watch a TV show. So personally for me, it wasn't worth it, but it's just because the TV show was out. I would probably have continued otherwise, but I don't know if I would have felt it was worth it since the ending, will it ever come out? I feel like that's a pattern that is really frustrating for readers. So what do you think? Is it worth the page count? Do you resent ever having started it, knowing that you might never get the ending? Would love to hear your thoughts on these books. If you have read them, again, are they worth the page count? Could they have been shorter? And I would love to hear the biggest books you have read and your opinion on them. I think I'm actually going to do a TBR, the books that I want to read that are really big. Maybe that will force me to get to them because I feel like some of them I have combined editions. Do you like those? I feel like it's nice because you buy one book and you have the whole trilogy, but then they're really scary big. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will be putting more on the screen that I recommend you check out, including the unhaul I was mentioning that I might be getting rid of. Under the Dome, we'll see. And if you want to see my opinion on the books from the Guardian list that had Middlemarch as their #1, I will put that also and I'll see you there. Bye.